Welcome back to the Commanders Declassified podcast. I'm your host tonight, Brian. Eric, man, how are you?
I'm happy to be the Vanna White to your Pat Sajak tonight. Looks like it's just the two of us, but we're going to get things done.
Yeah, it's just the two of us. We wish Ellie well. He is in the Galapagos Islands on a tortoise expedition. So hopefully he takes some good pictures. But Pat Sajak isn't. He's retiring. Are you up for the role? Are you up for his spot?
You know, they're giving it to Ryan Seacrest.
Oh,
And yeah. Not that I'm not even a big Wheel of Fortune guy, but it's just like I'm sick of looking at that dude.
yeah.
Give it to somebody. Give it to LeVar Burton. That guy needs a game show host gig.
LeVar Burton should have had Jeopardy. I mean, that just made so much sense to give him Jeopardy. I thought that would have been a home run, but yeah, I agree. He needs one of those type shows.
Game show. Yeah, give him not pressure luck or anything. Put Ryan Seacrest on the whammies, but yeah, give LeVar something. Actually, I like Ken Jennings a lot though. I'm cool with Jeopardy. I would have loved LeVar Burton on Jeopardy too. Ken Jennings is great. Blossom, I can't remember her name, but she's fine.
Yeah, no, Ken Jennings awesome. I mean, he's like what, the 30, 40, 50 time champion of the show. Like, yeah, no, he deserves it as well. And when you said Ryan Seacrest, it made me think of the I don't know if you watch Breaking Bad, but there's a scene in Breaking Bad where Aaron Paul realizes that Walter White wins again or gets away with just being Walter White again, and he goes, you can't keep getting away with this. I immediately thought of that of Ryan Seacrest. He can't keep getting away with this. How does he keep getting
these landing these gigs, man? Yeah.
So tonight we are talking it's list season, right? Like it's that time of the year where there's not a lot going on. We're waiting for the sale to happen on July 20th. We're waiting for training camp afterwards. So there's not a whole lot of news coming out. And one of the things that we're going to talk about is we're going to rank the NFC quarterbacks 1 through 16. We're going to go through all of them. What are your thoughts on on this and the quarterbacks in the NFC, and how do you think they stack up? Just kind of overall, and we'll get into talking about each guy.
Yeah, this is really hard because there's a lot of trashy quarterbacks in the NFC. Like the first thing I did was try to rate like all of my top like 10 NFL quarterbacks. And I got one from the NFC in my top 10.
Yeah.
It's that bad, right? Like Jalen Hurts, I'll just go ahead and give it away like a spoiler. But, Jalen Hurts, I had him at 6. So I'll just, for the sake of it, I'll give you my top 10 NFL QBs. And then we can start on NFC. But NFL, I got, Patrick Mahomes, obviously, Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson. Even though Watson and Wilson obviously had a down year, Deshaun hasn't played in a while. I've seen what they can do.
Yeah.
If they have another bad year, we'll talk about moving around the top 10. But right now, they're top 10. But again, one of those guys, 9 of them are in the AFC. Jalen Hurts is the only NFC quarterback. So that's what we're working with here as a starting point, right? This is a brutal list to make. Let me start. Do you have your top 10 NFL quarterbacks? Are they similar to mine or much better list?
Yeah, no, you nailed it, right? The top NFL quarterbacks are all going to reside in the AFC. It's just a superior conference when it comes to talent at the quarterback position. It used to be last couple of years, maybe it was a little bit more even, but really it is all AFC, and it's tough for teams, fighting for playoff spots over there because there's so many good quarterbacks you got to go through. So, yeah, you're right. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, then Josh Allen, and then kind of go down the list of those guys. Lamar Jackson, and just keep going from there. And then Jalen Hurts is going to be a little bit ways down the list. He had a really good year last year. I don't think it was a great year though. I know some people think it's a great year. I think we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But AFC quarterbacks are going to dominate that top 10 list easily. But we're talking about in specific the NFC quarterbacks, because that's where we play. We play in the NFC East to be exact. So that means at some point we're probably going to talk about Sam Howell as well too. So we'll see where he ends up. We'll see where all of these guys end up. But do you want to start with like 16, the bottom guy in the NFC?
Should we start there? I think we both have the same number 1. Do we want to start there? Because I think our list will differ as we go down the list. So maybe we start at the top since
All
that's the
right. So
no-brainer.
you give your number one guy in the NFC.
All
I
right.
think it might be a little
It's,
different than mine.
it's Jalen Hurts. I got Jalen Hurts as number one in the NFC. I don't see any quarterback based on last year, especially what he did. He is an elite. He has elite mobility. He is an elite running quarterback, and he's a good passer. He's not a great passer.
Right.
I think he can still improve as a passer, but he's not there yet. He's a good passer. The threat of his legs make him a better passer.
Yeah.
That whole offense is predicated on his running ability. He runs it like a champ. Again, we talked last week, and we'll see how it goes with Sirianni calling the plays instead of Stitchen. But as it stands, I don't see a better NFC quarterback than Jalen Hurts. Do you agree or no?
No, but not by much. And so this one is predicated, it's going to be predicated on health. And to me, in the NFC, if Matthew Stafford is healthy, he's the best quarterback in the NFC. Now, that's a huge if, right? We've heard that his arm is shot. We've heard that there's underlying injuries that he wasn't telling anybody about and all kinds of things, but it looks like he will be healthy by the time the season starts. So, if that's the case, if he actually is healthy, I mean, he's a Super Bowl winner. He actually has won the Super Bowl, and he has put up gaudy numbers for a very, very long time. So he would be the guy. Now, if he's not the guy, if he's hurt, then yes, it is Jalen Hurts. He's my number two. Not to jump too far ahead, but he is the number two quarterback in the NFC. All those things that you said, I absolutely agree with. I think he is a solid passer. I think they changed a lot of the things in the offense from the 2021 season to 2022 to last year to help him. I mean, they got the ball out of his hands a lot quicker. They used a lot more RPO. They had him throw less over the middle, right? He's a shorter quarterback. He's 6'1", right? Sam Howell's 6'1" as well, too. Some of those guys are shorter, have trouble throwing over the middle. They got him a bigger receiver, so when he throws deep, he can get some more completions and things like that. But just like you said, he's an excellent runner. I mean, his running ability is devastating. I mean, you could have them at 3rd and 14, and then boom, he pulls up a big 20, 30-yard run, and all of a sudden they're in scoring position. I mean, it is devastating, his running ability. And then plus, coupled with that offensive line, which is a huge key that they've got there in Philly. I mean, he's really tough to stop. So absolutely, he's my number two. But if Stafford's healthy, to me, it's not even a contest. He's the number one guy.
Yeah, so I had Stafford actually as my number two, and I was actually concerned that I was going to get laughed at for it because of last year. But yeah, I agree with you. A healthy Stafford is top notch. Like I'd take a healthy Stafford. I think I'd still in 2023. I think I would still go with Jalen Hurts first because you can do so much with him. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Stafford is washed, but even a washed Stafford is better than pretty much every other quarterback in the NFC. But a healthy Stafford is right there with the Jalen Hurts. Obviously, a different skill set. A much more accurate passer, but much less mobile as well. He has a little bit of mobility left. Never was much of a runner. Can move when he has to. He can navigate the pocket very well. Of course, he's seen everything as a 4-year-old quarterback now.
Yeah.
I'm kind of convinced that he's a little over the hill, so I would put Hurts over him at this point. But definitely have a healthy Matt Stafford as a strong number two and a washed up Matt Stafford as a weak number two. I don't think anybody's better than even bad Matt Stafford at this point from the NFC.
And everything with Matt Stafford relies on that back, right? If that back is at least okay enough for him to play, he's excellent. Like his arm, his accuracy. I mean, it's top notch. I mean, he does have that elite level ability if he's healthy. But like you said, he probably is done, right? Like with that injury and him being 34, 35, however old he is now, with that age. But if he can pull out one more season, I think that arm talent's just too special, and he's done it for too long for him not to be successful. And again, you've got Sean McVay, the mastermind there with that offense. I don't see how they could not be successful. So we've got the same essential number one, number two. So number three, who do you go with?
Here's where it starts getting interesting. I'm going with this was really hard, but I have to go with Brock Purdy as number three right now.
Ooh,
because
okay.
the sample size isn't big, right? But
Yep.
The quality of the sample size is really impressive. He was what, 5-0 as a starter down the stretch, won
Yep.
2 playoff games before getting injured in the NFC Championship game. That's a strong resume. I don't
Yeah.
think he's a world beater. I think he did, he's a very much a game manager type quarterback at this stage. But in Kyle Shanahan's offense, he's a perfect fit for what Kyle Shanahan likes to do. He does what he's told. And with the talent around him, it's just a great place for him to be, because he can be that, very similar to like not to put this on him, but a Tom Brady career arc. When Tom Brady came in, he was a very safe, very efficient passer, didn't take a lot of risks, but he grew with the talent around him and the defense that he had. He grew into an all-time great quarterback. Not saying Brock Purdy's going to get there, but Brock Purdy's in the situation where he can kind of grow at his own pace, provided that elbow heals up.
Yeah.
I don't love Brock. Like, the fact that Brock Purdy is my number 3 quarterback just tells you more about the NFC quarterbacking than, Brock Purdy. But, as he won his first 6 or 7 starts. He was really impressive. The team was kind of, stagnant when he took over. They ended up, going on a run, winning the division, and again, winning a wild card game, winning a divisional round. So he's got a lot of quality wins on his short resume at this point. So I'm excited to see what he can do moving forward. And really, I think he's just, better than the rest of what the NFC has to offer at quarterback, looking at it right now.
Yeah. I love that Brock Purdy pick. I did not have him 3, but I love that pick. I think you're right. I think, one of his best traits, his attributes, he's a good decision maker, right? He doesn't put the ball in harm's way. He gets the ball out of his hand quickly, so his playmakers can make plays for him, right? He's not constantly trying to play hero ball or run around and wait for a big 70-yard touchdown to open up for him. So I love what he did. I want to see what he will do now, because he's got a great team around him, and I think they've got another shot to make another run to a Super Bowl. So I'm excited to see what he does, and I like that pick. I didn't have him. I went with a couple other guys ahead of him who have a little bit more experience. So I went with another guy. Ellie will love this. I went with Jared Goff. I went with the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff. Jared Goff's actually gone to a Super Bowl, right? Jalen Hurts, as good as he is, he doesn't have anything. Jared Goff has done just as much, right? He's gone to a Super Bowl. He's made Pro Bowls. And going to Detroit, which, look, Detroit's been a dumpster fire. They've been dysfunctional just as much as any other franchise, us included. And he put together an excellent season this past season, so much so that they actually had a winning record. The only other guy or last guy to do that was, guess what, Matt Stafford, and was it Jim Caldwell? So he did really good, and I think he's a really good player when he has pieces around him. So I went with Jared Goff at number 3.
Not a bad pick at all. So I cheated. Moving past number 3. I really can't rank the next 5 quarterbacks. I can't put them in order. They're literally the same guy.
Yes, I was just going to say that. Yeah.
So 4 through 9 for me. Put them in whatever order you want. It doesn't matter. But I've got Jared Goff, David Carr, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, and Geno Smith. Those are all guys that you could literally swap. Like, you could put Derek Carr in a Cowboys uniform and nobody would notice it wasn't Dak Prescott for like 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Like they're guys who, I like to think of them, they're neither the problem nor the solution for their teams. They're like the treadmill quarterbacks that you're stuck with, and you're going to have a middling team. But they're a guy that you can plug into pretty much any offense. They can run the offense efficiently. They're as good as the guys around them. And, they can get you to the playoffs. They're probably not going to go far in the playoffs, but they're going to get you there. Yep. Goff notwithstanding, with Sean McVay basically, I don't know if you remember, like, when Goff was when Goff was with the Rams, but he had this like deer in the headlights look in his eye while Sean McVay told him exactly where to throw the ball. Yeah, they had to make sure they got the snap off within 15 seconds so McVay could talk to him the whole way through it. Yep. He's obviously progressed past that. He had a really good season last year. Detroit has a really powerful offense, really strong offense. But again, you put him in Minnesota, and I think he puts up Kirk Cousins numbers. You put him in Seattle, I think he puts up Geno Smith numbers. You put him in Dallas, you can just take all those guys and just rotate left, right, every week, and you get the same production. So I'm not going to rank those guys, but yeah, it's Cousins, Smith, Prescott, Goff, and Carr are all they're 4 through 9. So you have the floor for the next 5 picks. If you can put those guys in order, good on you, because I can't do it.
What's hilarious is I literally have those same exact guys as my next several picks. I have them in order, but yeah, you're exactly right. I've got Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, Geno Smith, and literally I'm not mad at if they were changed around in any other order. I mean, it was splitting hairs between those guys because you're right. They are the same guy. They all have the same type of ability level. They can win you games in the regular seasons. If they get a bounce of the ball this way or that way, they could get you to a playoff. But that's really about it, right? None of these guys have shown the ability to get you to an NFC championship game or win a Super Bowl. Like they're going to need, the 85 Bears defense to do that. And, none of that's happening for them. So I agree with you. I had Derek Carr, Kirk, Dak Prescott, Geno Smith. Then I had Brock Purdy. But I no argument from me on those guys. They're all very same, right? Your traditional veteran quarterback. He'll come in, get you that 9-10 wins. If everything goes right, he'll get you 9 or 10 wins. If everything goes wrong, you'll be at 7-8 wins, right? He'll keep everything afloat and you should be fine. So I'm good with that.
All right. So we're rounding out the top 10 already. This is moving right along in it. Very, very easy to do when you have 5 guys that are essentially one dude.
Yeah. So that's the first. Yeah, that was the first 8 guys. So
that should be 9. 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh crap! Yeah, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So I had Brock Purdy at that 8, and you had him up at number 3. So I just had him and Goff switch. But so moving on to number 9, who's your next guy from there?
All right, number 9 for me is going to be Kyler Murray.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray at 9 and 10. Kyler Murray and Daniel Jones are to me very similar in that they are not in that group ahead of them because you kind of have to build your offense around what they can do and what they can't do. So I think that you have to kind of protect them in your offense. I think Kyler Murray is more talented than Daniel Jones. He's been to this point more productive than Daniel Jones. I think he's a better passer than Daniel Jones. Now, he did benefit from like Larry Fitzgerald and, DeAndre Hopkins for the bulk of his career. And I think a lot of his accuracy stems from those guys plucking balls off the turf. But to this point, I mean, he had like a 4,000 yard passing season or close to a 4,000 yard passing season. He's done really well coming off the injury last year. Obviously he wasn't as productive, but I've got him slightly ahead of Daniel Jones. So that's my 9 and 10 9 and 10 guys. Again, they're very close, but again, they're very similar in that they've got good mobility. I think Jones is more of a runner. Kyler is more of a pass first guy, which I'm always going to take the pass first guy over the run first guy. I think those two are close, and I think they're that 9 and 10 group.
Yeah. I'm not as high on Kyler Murray as
don't take that as me being high on Kyler Murray in any way, shape, or form. I do not like Kyler Murray as a quarterback at all.
I don't think Kyler Murray makes enough plays to help his team win. Like a lot of it is very much flash. There's no substance there. He often, times chooses to try to make plays out of structure, right? I'm going to scramble around and look for that, big 70-yard play. Meanwhile, he passes up a 15-yard completion that's right in front of him because, hey, I want to be that hero. I want to get that big touchdown. And I can't get with that because to me, it's just not sustainable. The only guy who really does that on a regular basis is Patrick Mahomes. And he does it because he completes those every time. And he also completes very basic passes every time as well, too, because he's that awesome. So I don't have them there. I've got them a few spots lower, but the guy I went with was Justin Fields. Justin Fields has a lot of work to do, but he showed with his running ability last year that it's not only, hey, he's just gaining a couple of yards. He can break the game open with his legs far and away, just kind of running the football, which is what he did after we beat them in that ugly Thursday night game last year. They started to let him run around, right? They stopped trying to make him a pocket passer and let him use his legs. And I mean, he took off. He was gaining over 150 yards rushing and things like that in multiple games. ended the season with over 1,100 yards rushing. Now, if he wants to take that next step, he's going to have to add the passing yards in there, right? He's going to have to show that because he wasn't that good throwing the football. But that's where I have Justin Fields. And then the next guy is Daniel Jones for me. I think Daniel Jones, again, same thing with Justin Fields, same thing with some of these other guys who kind of run first is, they've got to put it together, right? They've got to find that balance of running and throwing, and it can't just be all running. They've got to find a way to move the football down the field with their wide receivers, with their running backs. And Daniel Jones, he got a little bit better at it with it this year, but the Giants really tried to protect him from himself and making those big mistakes. So Justin Fields, then Daniel Jones, and then who do you have next after that?
So at number 11, so we both had Jones at 10, so we're on the same wavelength a little bit there.
Yep.
Number 11, I put Baker Mayfield here. And Baker Mayfield to me should be in that group that's all bunched together, but he has regressed like every year that he's been in the air. Since his second year in the league, his play has declined. His accuracy's gone down. The team doesn't respond to him. He had a good little run for a minute with the Rams last year, but I mean, he's basically stunk it up for the past 2 years. The talent is all there. It's just, I don't know if it's his attitude, if it's his mentality. I don't know what's going on there.
He's just a maturity thing with him.
Yeah, he's just dropped off, and I can't put him, any higher than that. So yeah, I've got Baker Mayfield coming in 11. The only thing that puts him above like the last couple of guys is that he's got a lot more experience and he's had some big games. So I'll put him in there just because of that. Yep. But I'm not a huge fan of Baker Mayfield anymore. And I really liked him coming out. I thought he was going to be, I thought he was going to be pretty good coming out of college, but I was wrong.
I agree with you on Baker. I didn't have him there. This is where I put Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray was able to get to this second contract with the team here. He's won a couple more games than Baker, but I mean, he still really hasn't kind of produced much. I mean, we heard about the video games, right? Like he's playing Call of Duty as opposed to being in the film room, and they were worried about his study habits. So there's a lot of red flags that Kyler needs to eliminate.
Yes.
And kind of take that next step. Like he needs to be that leader for his team and, kind of start winning some of these games, putting the team on his back and actually kind of elevating those around him. But this is where I have Kyler Murray and Baker. I've got him a little bit further down, not too much further, but I think what you said about Baker is spot on. And I think the thing that's holding him back is maturity. I mean, one of the things that, that people kind of fell in love with about Baker was his confidence, his swagger, the bravado. And I think a lot of times people confuse that. And it's really arrogance. And I think, him and Geno Smith are very similar to me. Geno had all the talent, but Geno wasn't very mature, right? He got his jaw broken in his, first year, second year, because he, didn't hold up his end of the bargain of showing up to an appearance at a football camp and paying a guy, a teammate of his, and, got his jaw broken because of it. And I just think that those guys, there's a immaturity for them. And it took Geno a long time to kind of grow into that. And maybe that's what happens with Baker, right? Maybe, hopefully it doesn't take him 6 years, 7 years that it took Geno Smith. But I think that's what's holding Baker back, is I think he thinks it should be easier and he should just walk on the field and, he'd be up by 40 points and realize, hey, you got to work a little bit harder than that. So what was that? We just finished 11.
Yep. And these last couple guys that we have, these are obviously the potential guys. So I think these are all guys that can leapfrog and make big jumps this year because we haven't seen enough. Exactly. So my number 11 is going to be Justin Fields. I have got to see more passing from Justin Fields because how many times last year did we hear what an amazing run by Fields? This guy is special. Chicago now trails 38-13, right? You got to put the ball in the air. He's got receivers now. They've made some strides. I think if you do kind of what the Giants are doing with him, you design an offense, what the Bills did with Josh Allen a few years ago, you give him the throws he can make and you let him take advantage of his athleticism, let him grow into becoming a passer, but he's got to take that next step. I don't like running backs playing quarterback, and that's what he was last year. he's got to get better to me. And I think he can. Like, I really like Justin Fields, and I hope he succeeds because just, seeing interviews with him, he's a really humble guy. He's a hard worker. He just has to get better passing. And he's got all the tools. He can do it. And I think Eberflus is a good coach for him. But he just got to do it. So when and if he does it, he's going to catapult very high on my list. But right now I got him at 11 because he hasn't done it yet. He hasn't shown that he can be an effective passer. And one thing I always say about quarterbacks, I said this about Jalen Hurts a couple of years ago. Like, if the strategy for playing against a quarterback is to make him throw, like, you got a problem at quarterback at that point, right? Like, you need to be a passer as a quarterback. You just have to be able to do it. So do that, Justin, and he'll rocket up this list. But right now I can't put him any higher than 11.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that analysis of him. Obviously, I already had spots earlier, not a whole lot. I had him a few spots earlier, but yeah, you're exactly right. He's got to take that next step in throwing the football, like the running ability. That's I mean, he's top tier. I mean, we've already seen it. He's probably the best runner at the quarterback position in the NFL. But if you can't throw the football, whatever potential or ability you think you have, it's going to be capped, right? You're only going to get so far. And if you want to move up this list, that's got to have to happen. So I agree with that analysis, but I don't have him there because I had him earlier. Here's the guy that I have, Commanders fans. I've got Sam Howell on this list. Just like you said, the rest of these guys here are potential guys, right? We haven't seen a whole lot of them, or what we've seen of them, hasn't been good, or we just don't know. There's not enough to see. But this is where I have Sam Howell. Out of these guys here that are left, they're either rookies or we just haven't seen a whole bunch of them. I do have Baker Mayfield coming up here in a second, but outside of him, it's just kind of inexperienced guys, and I think I like Sam Howell's experience better than some of these other guys because I've watched all of them. I do think Bryce Young's going to be excellent, but he hasn't played a snap. Once he plays, he'll probably show us all that he's awesome and amazing, and he'll complete like every pass, and he'll shoot up the list to like 3, 4, 2, 1 or something like that. So, but Sam Howell, that's where I got him.
Sam Howell at number 12. I like it.
Yeah.
Moving on, 13. I have Jordan Love at 13. Slightly edging out number 14, but he's got a little bit more experience than the rest of the guys. And he doesn't have a lot of experience, but he has started a few games in the NFL, and he's played okay. And this is put up or shut up time for him. He's had the kid glove treatment for the past couple of years sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. He had people forget this, like they remember that last year at Utah. Was it Utah?
Yep.
Where he was, he was in a new offense and he kind of stunk it up. And they were really surprised when the Packers took him in round 1. But the year before that, he had a really strong year. A really good year, and he put up big time numbers at Utah, and that he's capable of doing that, right? You just don't know at this point. He could be the next Patrick Mahomes, or he could be the next Mitchell Trubisky. You just don't know at this point. I think he's got enough potential, and I think he's been in the same offense for 3 years. I think he's got the experience to run it. He's a guy that I don't know that he's ever going to be an Aaron Rodgers, which how can you expect that from anybody, or a Mahomes? But he can get up into that that group of 5 to 10 at least. To be one of the rotational quarterbacks that you can put anywhere. We got to see him play more though, so I have him relatively low on this list for that reason.
I do not have him there. I've got him much further down the list because look, you draft a guy in the first round when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't think there's any discussion whether you like the guy or not. He's a Hall of Famer. When you're trying to move on from that Hall of Famer, you draft a quarterback in the first round, and after multiple years, you can't move on from that Hall of Fame quarterback. It probably means this guy wasn't as good as you thought. He's taken longer to develop. I'm sure they would have thought, hey, 1 year sitting behind Aaron Rodgers, then we can trade Aaron Rodgers and move on about our merry way. And that really kind of blew up in their face. And I just don't see it with him. I think he could probably, at very best, maybe be okay, be a solid starter, but I don't think that we're going to see anything like a number 1 first round type quarterback draft pick. Certainly not an Aaron Rodgers level type player. Like I don't even think that's even a possibility with him. And I mean, he could prove us wrong, but I think if he had that ability and they were seeing it in practice, he would have been playing already. There's no doubt in my mind they would have pushed him on. I mean, we all saw Montana get pushed out the door. If the guy behind you is good enough, they'll move on. Doesn't matter how good.
Okay, Montana. I mean, Young sat behind Montana for like 4 years, and Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre for like 4 years. So that's kind of the way the Packers do it.
It's true.
I don't. He definitely didn't push Aaron Rodgers out the door.
No, he did not.
He didn't out. But how are you going to outplay Aaron Rodgers in practice, right? Like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll just have to see with him. I don't know that he's going to be an elite quarterback. I think he's going to be an all right. I think we both have the same kind of assessment. He can be a pretty good quarterback. He might surprise and be, that dude, but I don't see that. I see him being a solid starter and probably the bridge to the next Packers quarterback, but we'll see how it goes.
The guy that I went with instead is Bryce Young. For all the reasons I just said probably a few minutes ago, Bryce Young is, I call him the processor, right? Like he understands defensive coverage and scheme and where the ball needs to go before the defense knows what they're doing, right? He knows he has that deep level of understanding of scheme and ball placement. I mean, it's just excellent. And you watch him play and everything is the way it's supposed to be, right? Like there's no mistakes. And even his mistakes look better than other guys like wins or successes. Like he's just that level of product. He's just really small. I think that's the thing that's going to scare everybody. And it's, it scares me too. Like when he gets hit, like, is he going to just kind of crumble into ashes? Like we'll see how that goes. But I think from a mental standpoint, he's got really good arm talent. He can make any throw anywhere. He's got good mobility to maneuver within the pocket. He's not somebody who's going to take off and try to run 50 yards. He can pick up a first down if he needs to, but there's nothing that's going to fool him so badly, right? Like we talk about some of these guys who haven't thrown the football a lot coming from college. They need time to learn. He doesn't need time to learn. You can give him a full playbook and he can digest it and he can go out there and run the offense like a, 3, 4, 5 year veteran. So he gets the nod right there for me. And then my next pick, what is this, 13 now?
We should be 14, I think.
14. Now it's Baker Mayfield. I get to him. It's a low bar, but he's bounced around. This is his fourth team. It's his fourth team now. And he's battling Kyle Trask, which I don't think is much of a battle. Kyle Trask has never taken a snap in a regular season game. So I think that's pretty easy for him. But low bar in a team that's, I guess, trying to rebuild or reload or however you want to call it. And we just talked about it. I think it's his – I just think it's his maturity. I think when he can finally figure out, like, hey, maybe got to humble yourself a little bit. I think he everything will click for him, much like Geno Smith did last year. And boom, I think he could take off because you said it. He has all the talent. Something's not working for him.
Yeah, my number 14 is Sam Howell. I put him here. I don't think he stays here. I think he will move up, obviously, because I think, it's just experience. We've seen one start from Howell. I really like Howell. I watched PFF had a good podcast. I tried to share it with you guys, but I couldn't copy and paste on my laptop because I don't know computers, even though I've been an IT engineer for 25 years. Anyway, but there's a really good PFF piece on him. And they were really, the situation with Sam Howell is very interesting in that, he was at one point, they were talking of him being the number 1 overall pick, albeit in a weak quarterback class. But they were talking about him being the first guy off the board and possibly even the number 1 overall pick. And then obviously that changed after his last year there. But what they pointed out was that even that last year when like his numbers dropped off, like it wasn't like they fell off a cliff, right? They didn't. It was just he wasn't as, he wasn't as good as he was previously, but he was still pretty good. And he added rushing to that. Like that was just a skill that came in. So he's in a situation where he was, here, and then he drops all the way to the 5th round, where guys in the 5th round just don't get a chance because there's no capital invested. There's no, there's no, he doesn't have a chance to do it. But now suddenly he's got a chance to be the starter. So it's a weird situation. And I think I think that he's way more talented than a 5th round pick, even though, as Ellie likes to argue, he was taken in the 5th round, therefore he's a 5th round talent. I get it. But I mean, I think everybody during that process was really surprised that he fell past the 3rd round. He's got a chance to start. He seems to be picking things up well. I think Eric Bieniemy is smart enough to not just put the whole game on him at all times. I think he's going to rely on the tools. He's going to get the ball out of his hands. It's just up to Howell to do it. I think Howell has the talent. He's got a really good arm. I think it's like borderline elite arm, not quite elite, but really close to elite. He's got a much better arm than you or I do. Let's put it that way. He's certainly not a wet noodle out there. He can make any throw that you ask him to make. He's not a superhuman, but there's not going to be any problem with arm strength. He throws a great deep ball. You saw it in his limited action last year. He threw 2 dimes deep. One was caught, one wasn't. Both were right in the hands. He did play. He used his legs, and I think that's kind of a microcosm of what you're going to see from him game to game. You're going to see that 200 yards passing, 35 yards rushing, a touchdown, a pick, a touchdown on the ground. You'll see that quite a bit from him, and that's fine as it progresses. If he can grow in the offense, much like I talked about with Brock Purdy earlier, if you give him a chance to just get the ball out of his hands, let him acclimate to the NFL game, bring him along. Don't put too much on him early. Let him grow into the offense. He could be a good quarterback in this league. So I don't anticipate him being the 14th best NFC quarterback at the end of this year. Right now, he's got one start in the NFL, and that's where I'm going to put him just based on that.
No, I completely agree with that analysis, and I think something that I think a lot of people are overlooking, or maybe just because as Washington fans we are so snake bitten, right? Every move we've ever made under Dan Snyder has failed. It's blown up in our face, right? Well, RG3 one great year, and then it immediately in the following year it blows up in our face. You get Ryan Fitzpatrick, the first game he is out for the year. Carson Wentz, disaster. Like everything we touch.
Alex Smith plays well and gets hurt.
Alex Smith, life-threatening leg injury. What were we talking about?
How does that happen?
How does that even work? So it's very hard for people to go, Sam Howell, could he actually be productive? No one's saying that he's going to be top 5 in the NFL, but just be productive, be competent in the position. No, it can't happen. And I think, a lot of us fall to that. And I think it's a perfect storm, right? If Scott Turner was here, and I said this on the last pod, if Scott Turner was still the offensive coordinator, Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins. He had 4 games under Ron Rivera and they benched him. That's probably what would happen with Sam Howell and Scott Turner's offense. He'd have 4 games. He would look, abysmal, and they would and they would bench him, and he'd be forgotten about.
Taylor Heineke would still be here. Yep.
Exactly. We'd still be talking about Taylor Heineke or Kyle Allen or some of these other guys who play okay for a game and then look like crap the rest of the time. And it's, it can't be that. We've had very, very bad coaching. And I think this is a perfect storm with Eric Bieniemy coming in here and Sam Howell. Like, Eric Bieniemy didn't come here not knowing Sam Howell was on the roster. He scouted him before. He knows exactly who this guy is. And he wanted to come here because, hey, Eric Bieniemy wants to be a head coach, and he's going to put his chips right into the middle of the table. And he's betting big that he can make Sam Howell productive. And I think that, for me, this is similar, last offseason when we drafted Brian Robinson, I said the offense, I don't think people are ready for how they're going to use Brian Robinson. I think Brian Robinson's going to get a lot of playing time. I don't think people are ready for how well it's going to work with Sam Howell and Eric Bieniemy. Again, I'm not saying it's going to be a top 5 offense, but there's going to be a level of competency that we're going to get on offense that we haven't seen in several years. And I think it's a perfect storm with the coordinator and the QB, and those two are going to be tied at the hip. Like, if either one wants to succeed, they're going to have to do it together. So I'm with you on that. Next, who did you have there? Or who did you have after him?
Did you do your 14th? 14th was Baker, right?
Yeah, mine was Baker.
Yeah. Okay, so 15. So 15 is a little different. This is an inexperienced guy, but I don't think he's going to vault anybody. I think he's going to be 15 henceforth, and that's Desmond Ridder.
Yes. Yep, that's what
I don't like Desmond. I didn't like him coming out of college. He's got a slow release. He's not a processor. He's a strider as a runner. He's got some speed, but he's not a twitchy athlete. He's just a guy. I didn't see it when he played last year. I didn't see it at Cincinnati in NFL. He's got a good arm. I mean, I'll give you that, but he's got that, he's He doesn't strike me as an NFL starting quarterback. I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a quarterback guru by any stretch of the imagination, but I just don't see it with Desmond Ridder. I got him at 15 in the NFC.
That is exactly who I have at 15 is Desmond Ridder. And what you just said there is exactly what I think of Desmond Ridder. And what's funny to me is the Falcons had the same player, right? Like to me, when I watched him at Cincinnati, when I watched him, in the couple games last year, I was like, he's Marcus Mariota. They had the same guy in front of him. It makes sense, right?
With a slower release, though. I mean,
yeah.
Mariota's a better, like, at least technical passer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But very, similar guys, taller, lankier, just, they've got decent mobility, but just nothing spectacular. They don't do anything really great. And they're just kind of slow overall in their delivery, their throwing motion. Like I thought they were the same guy. So I'm with you. I don't expect a whole lot from them. Honestly, I think Taylor Heineke will thrive in that.
There's going to be a Heineke hive in A-Town for sure.
Yeah, because the way they run the football, and the one thing when we played the Falcons last year that I did appreciate, they got Mariota on the move. They moved the pocket constantly, and it was something I wanted Scott Turner to do with Taylor Heineke is move the pocket. Taylor Heineke can run. He's pretty fast. Move the pocket. Let's pose him as a run threat here. So I definitely think Taylor Heineke's going to play games. They gave him a 2-year deal to be there. So I think they understand they like what he can bring, and maybe they're not necessarily as confident in Ridder being able to make it all year as well either. But I had him there. My last guy was Jordan Love. Look, you've been in the NFL this long. They've seen you, and you haven't been able to do anything from there. So I just couldn't put him any higher on there.
Yeah, that's fair. My 15 or 16 is Bryce Young. And that's only because he's never taken an NFL snap. I'm not going to put him above anybody.
No,
I think it's, after his first game, he's probably going to be like 6. But I mean, right now, he just hasn't ever played an NFL game. And just, the old school guy in me is like, I just do it in the NFL one time. And you can probably catapult, certainly, Desmond Ridder and some of these other guys. But it's not there yet. Nothing against Bryce Young. He's going to be a very good quarterback. I got, other than, the potential injuries, I have no concerns about him. I think he's a great fit for what Frank Reich wants to do. And I look forward to watching him play, but just because he's never played in the NFL before, I'm not going to put him above anybody who has played in the NFL. Nothing against him. So good luck, Bryce, but you're number 16 as of today. Check back with me in December. Actually, check back with me in September. You'll probably be number 4.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, no, I agree with everything you said. I think probably after his first couple of games, I think I think everyone will be able to kind of see exactly what he is and what he can do right from day one. Because I think he's got that type of talent. But I think doing this list, this ranking, you really see the difference between the level of quality of quarterback the NFC has to the AFC. It's not even comparable, I don't think. Yeah. I mean, the top guy.
Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers jumping ship the last couple of years, it's gotten even worse because they were kind of keeping the NFC afloat. There's just nothing there outside of, outside of my guy, Jalen Hurts. Ellie obviously would have Jalen Hurts number 1 overall, no question, if he were here. We should do Ellie's list. It would totally be – Ellie would be like Justin Hurts. Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts.
Trey Lance would be number 2.
Trey Lance would be number – yeah. Kyler Murray would be up there. Yep. Daniel Jones. Yeah. You'd have all the running backs in the top 5. We love you, Ellie.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, let me ask you this, though. All right, so we just finished that list, and we'll wrap it up here in a second. Anybody, because obviously the Brock Purdy, we've all heard the reports. When he's healthy, it's not when he is healthy, he's the starting quarterback. Do you think that there's any guy like a Trey Lance who could make a push this year, or who else? I guess Kyle Trask. I mean, I don't even know if that's a real competition. I'm gonna say it, but I already know your answer. Jacoby Brissett. Like, is there somebody else in one of these Taylor Heineke, where there's a starter or there's a competition that could actually move up this list or be the guy?
Yeah, I mean, training camp wise, I can see Trey Lance just because of what the 49ers have invested in him. They've
Yeah,
got to give him every opportunity that they can get. And I think it affords them the ability to bring Brock Purdy along slowly. They don't have to rush him back for week one. It's a long season. San Francisco's a really good team. And Trey Lance can probably get a couple of wins as a 49er just based on what they have. I'm not a big Trey Lance guy. I don't think I hate him as much as you do, but I'm not a big Trey Lance guy. We'll see what he does. He's been okay. He can't stay on the field. Obviously, he's just been injured every time he's gotten a chance. He hasn't wowed anybody. He's put in a couple of quality efforts, I guess is the best way to put it. He's been okay when he's played. He just can't get on the field. And if you can't do that, then you're done. I don't think Sam Darnold. I don't understand. If Kyle Shanahan can't save Sam Darnold, he's done in the NFL. If he gets
Yeah.
a chance to play in a quarterback friendly, I mean, the offense that Shanahan runs is the quarterback's best friend. Any quarterback should be lining up and playing that offense.
Oh yeah.
And if Sam Darnold can't get it done there, he's just washed in the NFL. His next stop is XFL or USFL or something like that. I don't see him making it anywhere else if he can't cut it in San Francisco if he gets on the field. He should, by all accounts, he should beat out Trey Lance if it weren't for the capital invested in Trey Lance. But so we'll see there. I think Taylor Heineke, you were right. He's gonna see the field.
Yeah.
There are gonna be Heineke fans in Atlanta. He's got that magnetism to him. He's got that swagger. He will make just ridiculous plays, and then he'll make just ridiculously stupid plays, but people are going to love him. And Desmond Ritter's life got a lot harder when Taylor Heineke got signed. Outside of that, I really don't see a lot of quarterback competitions. I think it's pretty well settled. As bad as the quarterback play is in the NFC, there's not a lot behind those guys either. With guys like I said, Rodgers left, Garoppolo's in the AFC now. So there's just not a lot there.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think probably your only real one may be, San Francisco, and that would only be because Brock Purdy's still recovering. He's still not healthy. But, if Trey Lance can't beat out, Sam Darnold, who's coming in learning this offense, I mean, for the first time, and he's been in it for 2 years now. That's big trouble for him. So, I think you're right. That would be the only one because they want to recoup that investment they got him, prove that they were right. On him. So that's the only thing I can see. But from everything that we've heard, it doesn't look like that's how it's going to end up. But we'll see. I think Baker Mayfield. I mean, they have no allegiance to him. I think he probably wins the job. But if
Kyle Trask, if there's a conversation about Kyle Trask, even like by the end of training camp or the preseason, then Baker Mayfield's on his way to the USFL too.
Yeah,
because Kyle Trask is not impressive. Let's put it that way. He's a backup level quarterback, and that's what he is. And if he's in the conversation by the time like the end of August rolls around, then Baker Mayfield's in trouble.
Yeah. Agreed. And I think you're going to hear Taylor Heineke get some starts, whether it's because of injury or performance or whatever. I think he's going to play. And again, with that run-centric offense, he's going to be throwing little checkdowns to Bijan Robinson and then Hail Marys to Drake London. I could see him taking that starting job pretty quickly if Ritter misses a game, whether it's performance or whether it's injury. I could see Taylor taking that job and basically not going back. I think Taylor's personality and that head coach there, Arthur Smith, seems to be kind of an aggressive, almost kind of jerk type guy. I could see those two hitting it off pretty well. But
that's a good offense for Taylor, honestly, because it's run, deep shot. That's what they like to do, and they love to run the ball. And Taylor, his best games in DC were the games when they committed to the run. Those were his most memorable wins. That Tampa game, the Colts game. The games where he only had to make a big play, and he made the big play when he had to make it, but it wasn't on him the whole time. When you get games like that Giants game, when he's got to throw the ball all over the place, it's going to end poorly. But if you can just put him in spots where, like, if you need a play, he can make it.
Yep.
Otherwise, just hand it off. They've got a stable of running backs in Atlanta, so good on him. Like I said, Desmond Ritter's life got harder when they signed Taylor Heineke.
Absolutely agreed. That is our rankings for the top QBs in the NFC. Tell us, tweet us, put it in the comments below. Let us know what your thoughts are, how you rank them, who we got right, who we got wrong, who you thought should have been higher or lower, or where you think should we had Howell higher, should we had him lower? Let us know. Last words, Eric. What are you looking forward to? What are you sipping on over there? And what else do you want to talk about?
You brought up the question. Ellie's going to be very angry if we say it. So I'm having a Glenlivet Scotch. I've been turned on to Scotch recently by a rich friend. I am not rich. We're going to need more subscribers if I start buying my own Scotch. But I'm just sipping on a little Scotchy over here. The NFC quarterback situation could not be worse. I don't like any of the quarterbacks in the NFC outside of maybe two or three. And like I said, our rankings this week definitely do not. They're as of this week. They're not as of like week 1, week 15. We definitely will allow. I think we made that clear. Our guys to move up or down the board. I think those guys toward the bottom for the most part are going to catapult some of those guys ahead of them. It's going to be a fun year regardless. I look forward to watching Sam Howell play. I hope he becomes the number 1 quarterback in the NFL, not even the NFC. We will see what happens. I can't wait for this season to get started so we can stop making lists and start talking football.
Absolutely. Amen to that. The off season too long. Let's get to July 20th. Let's get this vote finalized, sale done, and then training camp a week later. Get Harris and Magic Johnson running the sidelines or walking the sidelines there. Training camp. I can't wait. Yes, these lists, while fun, I'm tired of them. I want training camp. I want football. So let's get all that stuff going. Let us know, tweet us, let us know what you guys want to talk about. We appreciate it. We thank you. Check out the website, commanders247.com, the YouTube channel here, the audio podcast. Please go resubscribe. If you have us subscribed and you haven't seen an audio podcast from us in a while, please resubscribe. There are probably 2 Commanders Declassified channels out there. Go get the one that has the latest episodes for your audio podcast, and we'll see you next week.
Oh, you can find us on Facebook. So tell your grandma that and your right-wing uncle that we're on Facebook as well. And I'll talk right-wing politics with him all day. No, I will not, but I will post our articles out to Facebook.
That is a good point, because I did not, and I always forget that we are on Facebook. So go check us out there. What is on our Facebook page, Eric? Do you know?
Pretty much all of our podcasts.
Okay.
You know how I am with social media. I install Facebook and Twitter once a week and tweet out and push out our articles, and then I uninstall it. So don't look for a lot of interaction from me. But we will get them out there. We will get them to all the outlets that we can. I promise you that.
Yeah, go check it out. We've got them all out there, all the social medias. We appreciate y'all. Take care.